Welcome to the second floss tube of the Elementary Stitcher. I'm Michelle. I'm so glad you're here today. It's been about a month and a lot has happened. We've had Easter. I hope you all had a wonderful Easter. Ours was super special this year. We had a couple of our kids come home from college, and Titus, our middle child, proposed to Taylor on Saturday, the Saturday before Easter. So we're looking at a summer wedding next summer, 2027. We're all very excited about that. So we have two children who are engaged. Our oldest daughter will be getting married this year in November. Busy times, exciting times, but I'm glad you're here today. We are on the Gulf Coast of Florida, so grab your stitching, and I hope you're ready for a little stitchy visit today. I thought we'd start off with some previous finishes. A couple of these I finished a while ago, several years ago, and one of them more recently. At some early stages of my stitching, when I came back to stitching, I was fixated on Lugana, even weave, and I was trying my hand at coffee dyeing and staining. I don't know how successful I was, but I went ahead and used the fabric that I had stained, and there are a couple of, shall we say, very dark places on this fabric. But I look at it and I remember where I was and how far I've come. And I love Brenda Gervais. I'm sure many of you do as well. If I could, I would stitch all of her patterns. I just think they're beautiful. And so I ordered all of the word plays. There are 12 of them, one for each month. And I didn't want to just order one because I thought, well, you know, if I didn't quite know how cross-stitching worked, having, you know, just started stitching again. And I thought, well, what if they're discontinued? Then I won't have the whole set. So I ordered the whole set and did them. And I did them specifically for our refrigerator. I wanted to have a stitched piece on the refrigerator that I could switch out regularly. And in so doing, freshen up the space. You know, just a little change can sometimes make the biggest difference. So I try to remember every month to switch out the stitching, and sometimes I'm a little late. We might be in the middle of the month by the time I get around to it, but I do try to remember to do that. So I have one for each month, and I'm not going to show them all to you today, but I would like to show them to you as, you know, each month goes by. So we're starting with April, and I found the frame at a thrift store, and it's been painted a couple different colors throughout the years. But then I went, I think, on Amazon, and I ordered some really strong magnets, and I put one on each side of the frame. So the frame itself doesn't have a back to it. You'll understand. I'll show you what I'm speaking about. And then each of the word plays I made on the exact same size sticky board so that I can just switch those word plays out each month. So let me go ahead and show you here today what exactly I'm talking about. So this is the April word play, and as you can see on the fabric, exactly what I was talking about. There are some pretty harsh lines here, and that's not optimal. That's not really what you want. But I do love this stitch. It was so fast. You know, stitching words and letters is pretty quick. So, and then of course the little bunny there in the wagon, I just love it. So what I did was I cut a bigger piece of sticky board and I covered it with some fabric. And then I cut another piece of sticky board and covered it with the cross stitch. And up here, let me just move these out of the way. Put a little lace trim across the top there. And then added these little picks, these little flowers, and a little bow. And I love it. We pull it out each April, and it's just fun. And so let me show you how this goes together. So this is the back. This is my lovely back, the frame here, and then this just pops out. But this also has the magnets on it. And then I just have a box that I store this one in, and I'll take the next one out and we'll move on from there. And this just stays on the refrigerator. And because the magnets are super strong, we don't have issues with it sliding down or falling down. But you would want to if you wanted to do something like this, you'd want to get the extra strong magnets. But it is very happy and very fun to switch out each month. And thankfully, I was able to get them all, and I was able to stitch them all. So they are ready. They're ready to go. You just pull them out and put them on the fridge, and it's just nice. It's just fun. It's fresh. My second finish that I want to show you is also done on Lugana, which is an even weave, also stained. Not the best stain job, but we're okay with that. We're going to use the fabric anyway. It is Little House Needleworks ABC. I think it's ABC Winter, ABC Summer, Spring, Fall. I've done 3 of them. I've done the fall, the winter, and the spring. I have the summer one, and maybe this summer I might get around to it. But this was a very quick stitch, quicker than I wished it would have been. I was close to finishing the fall one, which is the one I did first. And I purposefully put it away for a little while because it was going too fast and it was so enjoyable. These stitches are very narrow, long, but narrow, and they just go so fast. And the motifs on them are so sweet. I love it. So this is my spring finish of that. Now I might have to go a little further back for you to see. And then I'll try to get closer up here, but it goes all the way. And look at that sweet quilt. Isn't that just sweet? There we go. And you can see some dark spots also on this one. I'm trying to show you closer. But let me just explain what I did with this one. So this, as you can see, is the size of this one is not a common frame size. So I didn't want to go purchase a frame to have it, you know, frame special. So my husband and I went to either Home Depot or Lowe's, I don't know which, and bought this piece of wood, had it cut. I went ahead and painted it and scuffed it up a little bit. Let me just show you here. Scuffed it up a little bit and put some magnets on it. And again, same thing, covered some sticky board with some fabric, and then covered some sticky board and put the cross-stitched fabric on it. Now, let me just say a couple things here. On this one, the gingham, let's talk about the gingham first, okay? You'll notice the gingham on this is turned on its point. This is such, I wish somebody had told me this at the beginning when I was first covering sticky board with gingham, and I brought a piece. I just want to show you what I'm talking about, and I think having the piece in hand will help. So here's your gingham, okay? This is gingham fabric, and here's a little piece of sticky board. So if I were to put this gingham, if I were to cover this piece of sticky board with the gingham fabric, and I were to place the fabric on the board like this with the squares nice and straight and going across, my eye would be drawn to any imperfection. So anywhere on the sticky board where it wasn't quite straight, where maybe it just, you know, maybe it looked a little wavy, or it just was off a little bit, right away your eye goes to that. So, and what I wish someone had told me, because I've had to tear some apart because it just wasn't working, was turn your gingham on the point. Now you'll use a little bit more fabric when you do this, but it will be well worth it. And I hope you can see the difference. If you turn it on its point, like so, the imperfections are still there, unless you really measured, you know, well, but the imperfections are still going to be there, but your eye isn't drawn to them. They're more hidden. I hope you saw the difference there. But that really helped me. And so you'll notice on this piece, that's what I did. If you look closely at the fabric there, you'll see it's turned on its point. and that really hides a multitude of sins. And then something else that I found from Sully Stitches. She's a wonderful floss tuber. If you've not come across Sully Stitches yet, I encourage you to go look her up. Her name is Tara Sullivan. She lives in South Carolina, and she does beautiful stitching. And then oftentimes she'll send it away to a professional finisher. One of her regular professional finishers is Faye Rigsby, who's amazing. Just amazing at what she does. And I will often just pause Tara's videos to just study, because she'll show those finishes front and back, all that Tara has done, or Faye Rigsby has done, and I'll pause it and look at it and just study it, just to figure out what is it that I love about it so much. And one of the things I noticed that Faye did when she was finishing Tara's pieces was that her trims often, not all the time, but oftentimes would match her linen. And the trim didn't draw attention to itself, but it more complemented the stitched piece, which I just loved that. And so this piece here, and the one I showed you previously, doesn't have any trim here. And that is something I would do differently today. Just putting some trim in between these two layers would help soften it, would just add a little extra, that little extra something. So the top of this is, I don't even know where I got this. It's a metal flower. Isn't that different? It's a metal flower. And this, of course, just some picks here. And then I just tied it on to the back with some twine. And we were so desperate to get it on the wall. I didn't even have one of those little claw things, you know, that you're supposed to use. I just used the top of a pop can. But we love this. It hangs in our laundry room, and we switch it out seasonally. Well, spring will stay out for spring and summer, because I don't have the summer one yet, but hopefully soon. So that is fun, beautiful. And then one more previous finish, and this one is on a stand, but this is Lori Holt. Oh, goodness, it left my mind. Lori Holt, maybe Flower Garden or something, but here it is. And I have it on a stand like this. That's how I display it. But let me just hold it up so you can get the whole picture of it. So if you're familiar with this pattern, you can tell I did not use the called for colors. And I love her pattern, but the colors on it for me were just a little bit too bright. I wanted something more muted. And so I wasn't sure what to do until I saw on Instagram, Deb from Country Stitchers. I believe that's their Flosstube. I will link it down below. CountryStitchers.com was doing it as well. I think it was a stitch along at some point. And she posted a picture of her work, and the colors were more along the lines of what I used to decorate. So let me just show it to you again. I just think it's so pretty. But anyway, here it is. And look at this little finish. Isn't that just adorable? The ribbon I got at Hobby Lobby. And I've always wanted to do a finish where I used a motif from the pattern and just made a little pillow out of it. And there's the back side of it, which picks up the gingham in the background. But yeah, this was a fun, quick stitch. And I found this board at Walmart. It's just in their wood aisle. And it kind of reminded me of like a garden gate or a fence or a bench or something you'd find in a garden. And then this right here is green burlap, but it reminded me of grass a little bit. It's the way it's torn. And then you can see, I learned my lesson, didn't I? I grew as a stitcher. I added some trim in between the two layers, and I took a page out of Faye Rigsby's book and used the trim is about the same color, or very close to the same color as linen. So you can see it doesn't stick out, but it definitely, it just softens it, you know, it just adds that little something extra that it needed. And, you know, part of me wants to go back and, well, I don't want to, but I think about maybe I should go back and take those two apart and add the trim. And I thought, you know what? No, I'm moving forward. There's too much. There are just too many things, right? To stitch and finish and do. We don't have time to go back and do all that. It is what it is. And if nothing else, it's just a testament to how we change and grow as stitchers, right? So those are the finishes that I picked out to show you. And they're all kind of spring related. And we're in spring right now. So that's just perfect. Okay, moving on. I did finish. I do have I recently finished. I don't know, a week ago I finished this. It's not fully finished, but it's finished. And it is my traveling stitch. I think I showed it on one of my shorts, but I take a traveling stitch in my purse with me whenever I go out, because you just never know, you always want to be prepared. So this is one that let me show you the pattern first. It's Chubby Bird by Jeanette Douglas. And I've admired this for a long, long time. I love the finish as well in the tart pan with the where are my words? I think that's a Lady Dot Creates chenille trim. I just love how it's finished. And I think I have a tart pan, so I think I'd like to try and finish it the same way. And I don't know if you noticed, there are a couple of counting pins right there. I've got my eye on a couple on Etsy. They will be my first. I have not ever had a counting pin, so I'm excited to order them, and they're not very expensive. I could see that as becoming a bottomless pit. Anyway, this is my Chubby Bird. That is my finish. And I did it on a leftover piece of fabric for something I had used for Heartstrings Sampler. I think it's gingerbread, but I don't recall. If it's a week's or what, but it is a very tight linen. The holes are very tight together. But it was fun it was a lot of fun to do. It was pretty quick, but I mean, I only worked on it when I was out and about. So it took a little longer, and you wouldn't believe it, but I had so many mistakes in this teeny tiny little stitch. But isn't that the way it is? Sometimes those hold the most mistakes, but that's okay. I didn't put the date in it, but I thought, well, that'll leave some room to put those counting pins in there, but that was fun. And that is definitely a finish. Hoping to get that done. I don't know, maybe I'll get it done before summer, fully finished before summer. We'll see, because it's not that involved. The finish wouldn't be that involved as long as I have the tart pan, which I need to double check on that. Let's move on to whips, works in progress. And it has been a month, so I've got a lot done. I will tell you, back mid-February, my husband and I had to take a trip for work, and it was a road trip. And anytime, I just am not one to sit and not have something in my hands. So I was looking through my things, trying to figure out what can I bring. Linen is hard for me to stitch on in the car anymore. Just the movement, and I need more magnification, and the lighting has to be just right and all the things. So I was looking through, trying to decide, and Ada is very easy for me to stitch on in the car. And I have a project that I've been working on for years, not focused on it, but taking it out now and again over the years. And it is on Ada. And I thought, well, let me try it. It's kind of involved because it's a full coverage. So I thought, well, there are a lot of colors, a lot of threads, all the things. It was a kit that I purchased, I believe, off of Etsy, maybe Amazon, years ago. And I had admired it for a long, long time. And it's a kit, I think it either comes from Ukraine or Russia, but I bought it just around the time the war had broken out with Ukraine and Russia. Because I thought, well, I don't know if it'll still be available. So I purchased it. There was one left, and I purchased it, and here it is. It's a Luca S kit. And it is full coverage. Take a look at this. Isn't it so pretty? Oh, I love the little girl. The back of her head reminded me of my Annalisa Grace. And it's called The Birdcage by Luca S. And I brought it with me mid-February. And I did not put it down until I started my birthday start in March. So I was just taken with it. These are the threads. Okay, so it comes in a kit. They're not in very good condition. I will tell you, I have learned my lesson that when I do a full coverage again, I need to reorganize the threads because they come on these little cardboard dealios, but I will show you what I mean. Because over time, and these take a lot of time to do, over time, these little cardboard things just kind of fall apart, and then your threads can get mixed up and all the things. Let me show you what I mean. So these little cardboard thingies come with little places where you can put your thread. Well, look at how many have torn off. And it just happens because of use, you know, but I think I'm gonna have to figure out something different next time because these things, they just take a while. Let me show you. Look at this, you guys. Look. Oh, isn't it just so pretty? And so you might think, oh, you don't have far to go. You can finish that. Yeah, well, this is like, what, 2.5 pages worth? Let me see where I was. Let's see. In February, I was down here, mid-February. I think the bottom was done, but like where the bushes are and the little stump, or is that a gate? All of this, so this was not done. So from mid-February, I worked all of this to the end of March. And it was 2 pages that I worked. Oh, you guys, there is something about doing a full coverage that is so calming and de-stressing. I can't even explain it to you, but if you've never done one, I encourage you to try one. I love to keep one in my rotation. Just look at the little girl. She's just so sweet. And this little bowl right here with a rag hanging over the edge. Anyway, I put it away only because I wanted to start my birthday start, but it was painful to put it down. I just enjoyed it so much, and I have it in this bag right here. I don't know if I've showed you this before. And look at this little charm. This came from my students about a year ago, on my birthday. We had our field trip to the Florida Aquarium. We go there each year, and the kiddos are able to, they dissect a squid, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful aquarium. A beautiful place to eat lunch outside by the water, and the kids enjoy it every year. So we usually go in the fall, but I can't remember the reason. We ended up going, it was on my birthday that we went. And so the kids realized it was my birthday. So they went in together and went to the gift shop and bought that keychain with the M on it. Of course, my name's Michelle, but my last name is Moore. So it was for Mrs. Moore. Anyway, I thought I've got to keep that on there. So that was what I worked on until my birthday, the end of March. And then I wanted to have a birthday start like all you Flosstubers have. It's just such a fun thing. So I ordered Rebecca Warhol off of Etsy. And I'm sure if you've been on Flosstube or Artist, you've probably heard or seen this before. And it's just such a pretty sampler. And I did it on a piece of fabric that I had, 36 count oatmeal, that I picked up in Ocala at a stitching store there. I wish I could, I was gonna say the Wishing Thorn. That's the name of this pattern, Rebecca Warhol by the Wishing Thorn. But here it is. So this is my birthday start. Look at this, isn't it beautiful? I was a little bit, Some of the colors I feel are a little ghosty, but not enough that not enough that I would redo it. If I were starting over, I might do it on a darker linen. So maybe a week's cocoa or something like that. I'm not exactly sure, because without doing a floss toss, there's no way to be sure. But look at the border. Let me just show you again. There are two different borders on this. This side one is so pretty. I definitely am a border girl. I enjoy working on the borders from different samplers. But anyway, so I worked on this. Goodness, I started end of March. And then the reason I stopped working on this is that my daughter, Caitlin, as I have said, is getting married in November, and I wanted to do a sampler for her. So I ordered one, and it came. Let me just tell you, the first time I do love samplers. I mean, I love so many different things. It's hard to just pick one thing, but the first time I knew or heard about samplers was years ago when I was teaching in Kansas City. I was teaching second grade, and one of the responsibilities at that school for teachers was that we go and do a home visit in each child's home before the end of the school year. So there was a little girl in my class, her name was Hannah, and it was time for us to go and do a home visit. Well, her mom and dad invited us for dinner. She was an only child. Her parents were older. Her dad, I believe, fought in the Korean War and he had to walk with a cane and had a limp from an injury he received while fighting. We got to their house, beautiful home, built in the early 1900s. A lot of all, the original floors and things like that, and well kept. You'd walk in and the floor would creak. It was wonderful. Anyway, so we walk in, and right away in the entryway, I see all these beautiful cross stitches. They were samplers that Hannah's mom had done and had framed and were hanging on the wall. And I knew right away that it was cross stitch, but my word, I just stood in amazement, speechless, looking at these samplers. And she was so excited to share all about all of them, all the things about all the samplers. And I was a captive audience. Let me tell you, she was a very serious stitcher. She showed me her stitching spot, and she had, you don't have food or drink anywhere near the stitching. You wash your hands before you touch the linen, all the things. But that was a fascinating visit. So that was my first introduction to samplers, and seeing them on her wall. And they were huge. Some of them were huge. I think probably most of them were reproduction samplers, but seeing them on her wall and seeing all of them in the work she had done, I thought, it never crossed my mind that I could do something like that. Even though I had stitched and was familiar with cross stitching, it just felt out of my league. And then on Flosstube, watching Brenda and Laura, the serial starter, and their love of samplers. Saltbox Stitcher is another Flosstuber that loves samplers. And the nice thing is, you go watch these ladies, and they've got such beautiful eye candy behind them. And yes, you're listening to them, but you're just looking at all their samplers. And another one that comes to mind is Kim, the Contented Needleworker. Beautiful samplers. And all of these ladies, and I'm sure there are others, were such an inspiration to me. And I would watch them and see their samplers and think, no, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Finally, I bought one. And I thought, I'm just going to give it a try. And it's not a very big sampler, but I was able to do it as a Blackbird sampler. And I'll have to show that to you maybe next time. But I finished it, and I was like, wow, you know, that wasn't like super difficult. I've stitched other things that were more difficult than that, but it was so fun. It was one of those things where as you're stitching it, you just wish it would take a little longer because you want it to last longer, you know, kind of like the Little House Needleworks ABC samplers that I showed you, or ABC seasons at the beginning. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, so I stopped stitching Rebecca Warhol because this one came in the mail. I ordered this with some birthday money, And oh, there are so many sweet, well, 3 sweet patterns. Look at this one. I love that. I want to do all of them eventually. But the one I'm doing for my daughter, and I need to get it done by November, you guys. So I need to get to it. This is the one, Let Love Rain by Teresa Kogut. Oh, so pretty. And you can tell she's an artist. You just can't. Her command of color. Let me just show you where I've gotten. And you'll have to excuse the hanging threads. That is one habit I do embrace. It's probably not the prettiest, but here it is. And I'll tell you what fabric I'm doing it on here in just a second. Let me just show you where I'm at. So you can see, look at the beautiful border here. Each of those flowers, if I remember right, has like 4 different colors in it. And it's so beautiful. And oh, don't these kind of remind you of palm trees a little bit? They're bluish. They're blue, but so pretty. And I do love tulips. They're some of my favorite flowers right here. And this is big. Let me just show you all of the fabric here. Look how big this is going to be. Woo. So I need to get down to it. I need to get serious with it. You know, this fabric, I've never worked on XJU Designs fabric, and it is a treat. Let me tell you, it's just like butter. Pulling your needle through each of those little holes is like pulling it through butter. It's just so smooth. The name of it's XJU'd. It is 40 count marbled hazelnut hand dyed for a doll. And let me tell you something. I wasn't sure what fabric to do this on. I had ordered from Cedar River Linens Albarium, which is more of a white, because I don't know, I was looking, where's the picture? It just looked more like it was on a white, and it's not pure white, because Cedar River is overdyed fabric or dyed fabrics, but it's more of a white, and I really wanted something a little bit warmer, but I didn't really know what. So I had ordered the Albarium, and then I was on Instagram and I put in the search bar, Let Love Rain, Teresa Kogut, and a bunch of them came up, and one gal had stitched it on this, the long name, I cannot remember it, 40 count marbled hazelnut hand dyed for a doll. And I thought, that's it. Sometimes, you know, when you see something, you just know. And I just knew that had to be it. So I think the colors all look really, really pretty on this. And, yeah, just really pretty. And the dyeing, the model, it's just a beautiful, it's a match. It's a match made in heaven, you guys. And then the flosses, it's all DMC except for 2 overdyed flosses, Oscar and Onyx. And I didn't think I had Onyx. And I wasn't, you know, I thought, well, I'll just use 310 because that's what it was. That was the DMC color. I thought, oh, I don't want to just go buy, you know, one floss. I'll use what I have. Well, then I was fishing through my overdyed flosses, and the O's were all stored together, Oscar and Onyx, and there was Onyx. And I thought, oh, so let me, you know, sometimes you get an overdyed floss and there's not a whole lot of variegation, and you think, well, I could have just used DMC. This one, this overdye just has a softness to it that the 310 does not have. The 310 is quite harsh next to it. But I'm just so glad I had it, because I wasn't going to buy it if I didn't. Anyway, but that's fun. Yeah, sometimes overdyed flosses just, there isn't a ton of variegation in them, but there is an Onyx for sure. Let's see. Okay, so oh, I'm working on one more thing. Let me show you. So I finished my traveling stitch. So I thought, well, I got to start another one. Let me find the picture here. And I just keep it in this little bag here. And this just is small enough that it fits into my purse quite easily. And this is the stitch. It is a Mill Hill kit. I hope that it's clear for you. It's a Mill Hill kit in the Autumn Harvest collection called Berry Jam. And Mill Hill kits make great traveling stitches because most of them, I think if not all, are on canvas, which is very easy to stitch on, I'll tell you. Oh, I did want to say something, if you bear with me. This Verdal is an even weave. And there's a difference between even weave and linen. And the stitches, the holes, the squares are much more, what's the word? They're just much more exact. I don't know that I'm describing it very well, but I just wanted to point this out because if you are an Aida stitcher, and I was, and I still do stitch on Aida from time to time, but if you're an Aida stitcher who would like to maybe just dip your toe into stitching on linen, this is a good stepping stone, the even weave, because the best way I can describe it is that it's like halfway between Aida, even weave, and then there's linen. So it's just a good stepping stone to getting to linen. But this, I mean, it's just a pleasure to stitch on. So I did want to mention that for those of you who maybe, because I sometimes hesitate when I'm trying something new, you know, like the samplers. I just thought, oh, that's totally out of my league. But it's so good for us to try new things, don't you think? It's so good for us to kind of get out of our comfort zone, get out of what we're used to doing and try something a little bit new. So anyway, back to Autumn Harvest. This is a whole series. Matter of fact, moving into haul kind of, this is another Mill Hill that is in that same series. And I've done Mill Hills before, but I framed them. I've never done one as an ornament or a magnet or anything like that. So this is my first one. It's going to be a magnet. And let me just show you where I am again. I have some threads, but I just think it's so sweet. So sweet. So this is the little top of the jar with the fabric, and then this is the label. And Mill Hill kits have this canvas in it, the needle, the beads that you need, the pattern, of course, and the thread, everything in the kit. So it's just a really nice, easy, something to grab easy for a travel stitch that you don't have to put too much thought into. If you've got the kit, you're ready to go. Grab some scissors and you're off. So this is a jar of peaches. It's just called Peaches in the Autumn Harvest kit. The other thing, there are 5 in this series, I think. There's an owl and a hedgehog and a honey pot, just really cute, super cute. And I thought, oh, I'm not one to have a lot of magnets on my refrigerator, but I would love to have something handmade, a handmade magnet on the fridge. Okay, moving on. So we've done previous finishes, we've done whips, we've done a little bit of haul, and I do have, for Christmas, I got a gift card for stitching, and let me tell you, I'm sure we can all relate. A kid in a candy shop, am I right? So when my son was younger, he would sometimes get gift cards to Toys R Us. We would take him when we had a lot of time on our hands, because we would take him in there. He would take forever. We would probably still be there today if we didn't. Finally, my husband and I picked out 3 things that we knew he would like. And we said, okay, buddy, pick one out of these 3 things. These are your choices right here. Pick one. And you have 5 minutes. And it was painful. It was painful, but he picked one, thankfully. And so I feel the same way. I feel his pain when I got this gift card and I'm looking online at all these wonderful things, and I think, oh, I don't know. There's so many. So that's why here it is, April, and I'm just now getting the things I picked for Christmas with this gift card. Anyway, here it is. So I do not have a lot of stash, like linen stash. I don't. And I really, that's kind of where I want I really want to beef up my linen stash. And when I have a pattern and I'm trying to figure out what linen to do it on, to me, it's more challenging if I just have one linen or two. It's hard to know. But if I have several to compare to each other, it's a little bit easier. So I went on Cedar River linens. Well, no, 1, 2, 3 Stitch, but I did buy Cedar River linen fabrics. My daughter is stitching on Arboreal right now. She's stitching a pattern, and it is a Cedar River linens, and she can't speak more highly about it. She loves it. So I thought, well, I've heard of it. You know, I've heard of it through a lot of Flosstubers, so let me go ahead and get some. And I don't even want to use it because it's just so pretty in a stack like this. Look at this stack. Oh, aren't they beautiful? And do you see what I mean? When you see them in a stack like that, you can kind of see the differences a little bit better than if you just see one. So let me just tell you what I got here. Pyrite, 40 count. These are all 40 count. So this is pyrite. And you know, on camera, you never know if fabrics are turning out correctly, but I can tell you these are all beautiful. This one is sepia. It's probably the darkest that I purchased. So pyrite, yeah, pyrite, sepia, overcast. Oh, this is so pretty. It's got such beautiful modeling. Boy, what a difference between this and my Lugana. Better not quit my day job, right? Oh, that's funny. Anyway, this one, what did I say? Overcast. Yeah, that's so pretty. Honestly, I don't want to use them. I just want to look at them. 40 count maple bar linen. This is really pretty. Oh. Anyway, so those are the fabrics, and I'm not in a rush to use them, but I do want to add to this. The one I think I want to get next is the Alpine Glow. I think that's how you say it. Alpine Glow Cedar River. I was looking at that. That's just such a pretty one. There's so many pretty ones. And then I also got a pattern. How can you not, right? This is Cross Stitch Antiques, New England Chapel. I just want to make sure that's in the frame. I just love this. I just thought it was so sweet. So I got this. And the nice thing about this pattern, it has a small version and then an enlarged version, which is great for us with challenging eyesight. There was something I wanted to mention also, and I know this is kind of, I feel like I'm everywhere right now, but it's okay. These Mill Hill kits, I got them at my LNS, which I am lucky to have one kind of close to me. It's in St. Pete, which is a little to the north, but it's an easy, you know, an easy little weekend trip up there and back. Do it on the weekend. But anyway, it's called Silk Road Needle Arts, and it's run by Eddie. And Eddie's always got a project going, and this time it's a full coverage. Beautiful. But Eddie's super helpful, and I think he's got some fabrics, and I think what he does is he buys out stores that are closing. So he never knows, you know, really what patterns he'll have or whatever, but it's a great place to go and just dig and find some fun things. So that's where I got those Mill Hill kits from. I'm very thankful to have. He's got a wonderful selection of floss. So if I ever need a floss color, I can definitely get it from Eddie at Silk Road Needle Art. So if you're ever in the St. Pete area, swing by and visit him. You won't be disappointed. So let's see. I think I've gone over just about everything today. I'm going to continue to work on Let Love Rain, Rebecca Worrell, and of course my traveling stitch from time to time. I don't know that I'll pick up my full coverage this month. There's just too many other things I need to focus on right now, but it has been a joy to visit with you. Isn't it fun to talk about stitching or just listen to somebody talk about stitching while you stitch? I hope you got some stitching done. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you're working on. Maybe you can enable me. That's always fun. And that way I can get to know you a little bit better. So thank you to those of you who commented on my last video. That's so fun. And you all have said kind things to say, and that just made my day. Brightened my day for sure. It sure is fun. It's fun to get on here and talk to you and share things with you and know that your eyes aren't glazing over. We love the same things. Anyway, have a wonderful day. Enjoy your weekend, the rest of it, and enjoy these last few days of spring as we get closer into summer. Happy stitching. I'll see you in just a little bit. Bye-bye.